What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports, and you're watching our ACC football channel. The ACC kicks off on Friday night. It's William & Mary going on the road to face Virginia. This game will be on the ACC network. Virginia favored big in this game, 34.5-point favorites. FBI has been 99%. So, yeah, this game won't be close. FCS opponent, I don't really know much about William & Mary. I don't spend a lot of time, watching the FCS teams or studying them or anything. But this Virginia team looks really good, and they should win by a big margin. Wake Forest on the road at Rice. This game will also be on Friday night. It's on CBS Sports Network, 7 o'clock Central Time. Vegas has Wake Forest favored by 18.5. FBI also likes the Demon Deacons at 87.2%. They should win this game. I actually think they might cover that spread. Rice is not a very good team. This is a very explosive offense in Wake Forest. The game is on the road, so maybe that makes it a little bit tricky. But, yeah, I like Wake Forest to win big in this one. Pittsburgh had a tough loss last week. This week they're at home against Ohio. And this says 10 o'clock Central Time. That would be 11 o'clock Eastern Time on the ACC network. I don't know if that's a typo or if that's actually the time. Normally games don't start that early. You guys can fill me in on that if you have any information. But, yeah, this will be a pretty good game. Ohio's a good MAC team. Pitt's coming off that loss. Can they bounce back and get the win? Only favored by 5.5. FBI does like them here, but I think this game might wind up being pretty close. Syracuse on the road at Maryland. This should be a great game. Maybe one of the more competitive games in all of college football in week 2. Maryland's favored by 2 points. Despite Syracuse being ranked, Maryland not ranked. Maryland had a big day in week 1. Syracuse looked okay. Didn't look maybe as good as you might think. But this will be, I think, a very close game. The spread only favors Maryland by 2 points. FBI likes Maryland at 66.8%. Old Dominion at Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech is favored big, 28.5%. That is, or by 28.5 points, I should say, 98.3%. That's a huge number when you consider the fact that Old Dominion upset Virginia Tech last year. Virginia Tech coming off a loss to Boston College, so that was a little bit surprising to me to see that spread so high. Virginia Tech better be careful. You don't want a repeat of last year. They better bring their A game in this one. Up next, it's Western Carolina at NC State. Check this out. NC State is favored by 42.5 points. 42.5 points. That is a huge number. The FBI also likes NC State easy. 99.4% chance of winning this game, so I don't expect this game to be close at all. Again, I don't really follow the FCS. I don't know how good Western Carolina is, but I'm expecting NC State to roll and really build some confidence as they head into conference play. Georgia Tech hosting South Florida. This game will be at 2 o'clock Eastern Time, 1 o'clock Central Time. That's a little bit early for, normally these games will be at 3:30 Eastern Time. This one's at 2. I guess that's why we had the 10 a.m. game, at least Central Time, earlier. The ACC network will show this one. Georgia Tech favored by 5.5 points, a 72.1% chance of winning according to the FBI. Georgia Tech looked pretty good against Clemson. That defense looks pretty solid. I think that they'll win this game most likely. South Florida looked horrible against Wisconsin, and Georgia Tech could get a big, big win. They need to find a little bit of offense, a little bit of a passing game, and if they can do that, I think they can win this game pretty easily. Clemson hosts Texas A&M in a huge showdown, SEC versus ACC. Texas A&M almost pulled off the upset last year. Clemson's favored pretty big, though, this year. 17.5-point favorites. FBI likes them at 87.5%. The game will be on ABC, 3:30 Eastern Time. Trevor Lawrence needs to play better than he did last week. We'll see what that Texas A&M team defense can do. Tough place to play. I do like Clemson, but it might be a little bit closer than 17 points. Richmond at Boston College. This game will be at 3:30 Eastern Time, 2:30 Central Time on the ACC NX. I guess that is, you'd have to watch that on the ESPN app. Or maybe that's like the alternate channel like with the SEC. You guys can fill me in on that. But Boston College is favored big, 33.5 point favorites, 97% chance of winning this game according to the FBI. They're expected to win and win big, and they could get off to a 2-0 start. Florida State at home against Louisiana Monroe, coming off that very tough loss to Boise State where they had the big lead and they blew it. This game's on the ACC network, 5 o'clock Eastern Time, 21-point favorites for Florida State, 94% chance of winning according to the FBI. Those seem like big numbers for a team that really just shut down in the second half last week. And ULM is a pretty good group of 5 team. This is not a team that you can overlook. So watch for that game to potentially be a little bit closer than that. North Carolina A&T at Duke. Duke favored, of course, big in this one. 29.5-point favorites. 93.8% chance of winning according to the FBI. I don't expect this game to be close at all. And it's FCS week in the ACC. Last week in the Big 12, there were a ton of FCS games. Now this week it seems like the ACC scheduling a bunch of FCS opponents and also group of 5 teams as well. But we do have one conference game. I'll get to that in just a second. Eastern Kentucky at Louisville. Louisville coming off that game against Notre Dame where they actually looked pretty impressive at times, especially in the first half. They're favored big in this one, 22.5-point favorites. The game will be at 7 o'clock Eastern Time, 6 o'clock Central Time. FBI also likes Louisville big, 96% chance of winning this game. It's an FCS opponent, so there's really no surprise there, and they should roll. A good game to get their confidence built back up on the offensive side of the ball. Our one conference game in the ACC is actually Miami at North Carolina. This game will be at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, 7 o'clock Central Time on the ACC network. North Carolina coming off that huge win. Can they back that up again? You beat South Carolina. That was a huge win for this team. Now can you do it against Miami? We'll see. Miami is favored in this game at 5.5-point favorites, but 63.1% according to the FBI. That would make you think this game should be pretty close. Was it a fluke for North Carolina? Was South Carolina really just not that good? And how about with Miami? Were they just playing a really good Florida team? You really need a few games to really figure out exactly how good a lot of these teams are. And I think that this is a perfect example of that. We're going to learn a lot about Miami and North Carolina after this game. Is North Carolina a contender in the ACC? Is Miami still going to struggle big time this year? Just a huge game in the conference. And again, the winner of this one, I think, could build some confidence, maybe have a chance to go on and win the Coastal Division. The loser probably going to be out of it, especially when you look at Virginia and how well they played last week. So that's going to be a huge game in the ACC here in just week 2 of the season.